is ours. Bring the chip home. Galactic, and I'm looking to get more. Raise it up, seen but you don't know. Running like the blood, pumping from the pressure of adrenaline rush. We crush whatever we touch. Where you been, yo? Everyone know. And if you still don't get it, let it chill for a minute. Time is money, and trust me, man, I'm on business. And if you want something done, do your something, get it finished. Wake up, victory's mine. On top, still on the grind. Gotta go get it right now. Holla at me if you with me. It's time.
I think the stars above, I know that we're gonna make it.
It'll take all we got, we gon' make it. Show the world that it's shining our greatness. Keep it real, never gon' fake this. Till we make it, till we make it. Taking off, flying high like a spaceship. Take control, take a shot, what you waiting for? Keep it real, never gon' fake this. Till we make it, till we make it. Second verse, I'm telling you I'm ready to go, letting you know, cause I'm never alone. The ones that I roll with are incredibly known for getting down to the nitty gritty. If you really with me, let's go. Moves made, dues paid, most talk but don't do a thing. We certified, observers I come through and give a true display. We champions, understand me standing under a victory canopy. Canopy the enemy was hitting keys, ready to drive at top speed, let's get it out. Wake up, victory's mine, on top, still on the grind. Gotta go get it right now, holla at me if you with me, it's time.
I think the stars above, I know that we're gonna make it.
It'll take all we got, we gon' make it. Show the world that it's shining our greatness. Keep it real, never gon' fake this. Till we make it, till we make it. Taking off, flying high like a spaceship. Take control, take a shot, what you waiting for? Keep it real, never gon' fake this. Till we make it, till we make it.
I think the stars above, I know that we're gonna make it. I know the ground below my feet's gonna lift me up. I thank the stars above, I know that we're gonna make it. I thank
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Snow Canyon High School. We are in the jungle for the girls' basketball matchup between your Snow Canyon Warriors and the Crimson Cliffs Mustangs. I am Ryan Rarick, bringing you the game tonight, and I will be joined in a moment by Coach Kenny Cundy to broadcast with me as well. However, he is delayed coming here because tonight is the last region game of the season, and that means it's senior night for the Snow Canyon girls. And obviously, Coach Cundy has a senior daughter on the team, Olivia Cundy. So I'm going to be handling it solo here for a minute. Hey, it's good to be back. I have not been able to broadcast the last couple of games. A couple of them were up at, well, the last one was up in Cedar. The one before that was at Dixie, and I was out of town, but I'm hoping that I'm not the curse, because I left from the broadcast booth, and the Warriors are now experiencing a first, which is a winning streak. They are coming into tonight's matchup with a 2-game winning streak. They had an exhilarating win against Dixie last Thursday, where Makari Wong made a game-winning layup at the end of the game, and then they beat Canyon View on Tuesday behind 15 points from Natalie Olson and 12 points from Taylin Whitehead. For right now, though, we're going to go to the senior night festivities. As you can see on your screen, the seniors are coming out and they're being presented. The first senior is the aforementioned Olivia Cundy with her parents, and she has obviously been in the program for 4 years, and she overcame a torn ACL to be able to participate this year, changed her position. She moved to basically the center position from a guard position. The second senior coming out is Cindy Mata, another 4-year participant in the Warrior basketball program. And I can't say enough good things about Cindy. I've had her as a student. I coached her for her first 2 years on the basketball team. And I just love her drive, her motor, and her energy. Next is Tyler Mooring. Tyler is, we've talked a lot about her in the games. She's one of the leaders, emotionally and skill-wise on the team, and happy to see her. Next is Kenna Staley with her parents, and her dad, Nate, was my assistant coach when I was the girls' basketball coach, so good to see him out there. And the last senior is Taylin Whitehead. And as I mentioned, she dropped 12 points against Canyon View at Canyon View on Tuesday. And she was somebody that has been playing on the varsity team since her freshman year. She was a role player for us as a freshman, and now she's moved into the starting lineup as one of the primary contributors. So anyway, as you can see at half court are the seniors and their parents. They all gave their coaches a hug. They got a gift. Anyway, this is what it's all about, people. This it's kind of a season where you didn't win as many games as you hoped you would, but you learn life lessons along the way, and some of the lessons that you learn will apply in the future, and sometimes you learn as much or more from tough seasons with losing games as you do from winning a state championship. And one thing, I've had every single one of these girls in one of my classes, and I have 3 of them in my class right now, and I watch them come in and work hard every day, and some of the things that they're learning on this basketball court they're applying in the classroom and vice versa. So couldn't be more proud of these 5 seniors and the people that they are, and they represent Snow Canyon with class and dignity. So shout out to you senior girls, and I hope you remember the lessons from this basketball season for the rest of your life. That being said, let's get back to previewing some of the game action. As we mentioned, the Warriors have won 2 games back-to-back. It's a first this season, and they're looking to end the regular season on a 3-game winning streak, and they are playing the Crimson Cliffs Mustangs, and the last time these 2 teams met up, it was a battle for 3 quarters, and then Snow Canyon kind of opened it up at the end of the game. It ended up being like an 18-point win, but it was a 2 to 4 point game until there was about 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and some of the shots that hadn't been falling for Snow Canyon started to go in. So a couple of things to be mindful of. If I'm coaching these Warriors right now, obviously I want to be confident going into this game. We've already demonstrated that we can beat this team. However, I don't want to be overconfident. Just because you beat them before doesn't mean they're going to let you do it. And like I mentioned, for most of the game it was close. It could have gone either direction. So there's no gimmies here. Crimson Cliffs has not won a region game yet, and I promise you they want nothing more than to pull a win out tonight. And as I mentioned before, I am now joined by Coach Kenny Cundy. Cundy, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, what was it? Hey, let's get a dad perspective here. What's it like to walk out? I know that you've had some other kids that have come through Snow Canyon, but what's it like to walk out there on senior night with your daughter?
This one for me was particularly hard. It's my last daughter. This is probably her last sport, and I'm gonna miss watching her play. It's been a lot of fun, and we've had some good times coaching each other up and watching her play. And I'm trying to convince her to come swing the golf club with me next in the spring out there at Southgate, but not sure she's going to want to come do that.
Hey, I'm positive Redfern would love to have her out on that track as well.
Yeah, that knee injury she had as a junior has really kind of
we can shot put, we can javelin.
Yeah.
What do we got?
There
what else
you go.
we got? Yeah. No, but anyway, one of the things that I was mentioning is when I was looking at these seniors that were standing at half court, I coached all of them,
right, because
I was involved in the program for a long time, and I have had every single one of them in a class of mine. And I was just one of the things that I was bringing up is the season it didn't go the way that most teams want, right? They're 4-15 right now. But I'm just looking at them smiling with their parents, hugging their coaches out there. What are the things that you take away from a season like this? Like, what are some things that you and Livy talk about at home, even maybe after some frustrating games?
Good question. And we talk about a ton of stuff. One of the things that we've talked about lately is something that Coach Meacham was sharing with our basketball boys. And he told them the other day, it said, failure isn't failure. Failure is feedback. And so we talk a lot about, okay, did you learn anything from that loss? Did you learn anything from going through the hard practice afterwards or things like that? And I think that she's gained some valuable lessons going through a season like this. But we're on a 2-game win streak, man. Season's not over. We win tonight. We go in hot. Who the heck knows what could happen?
And I was trying to check this. So just to go off what you were just saying at the beginning, that's kind of echoes what I was talking about, which is like a loss is only a loss if you don't learn anything from it. If you learn from it, it's not just about basketball here.
Correct.
We're applying lessons to our life, and we're changing our mindsets. We're learning that we can do hard things, and sometimes the hard thing to do is show up the day after something that didn't go your way, and you still show up and do it. But yeah, I wasn't able to check this. I was trying to find it online, so I'm just going to recklessly speculate right now. But those girls told me that they told me on Monday. Well, we weren't in class on Monday. They told me on Tuesday that if they won on Tuesday and Thursday, that they would end up hosting the first round playoff game, because I think the first 8 teams get a bye or something like that, and so then it's the top 5 teams out of the or whatever it is.
So yeah, you've got what, 21 teams?
Or 11 teams get a bye, and the bottom 10 have to play, and so they'll be in the bottom 10, but they'll be in the top half of the bottom 10, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And so I think
top 8 teams get a bye.
I think we're looking at another one. We're going to pause right now for the national anthem.
Not sure if we're still on or not, but we're talking like we are.
We're back.
There you go.
Think. Anyway, thanks to Gavin Goff for
that,
the national anthem right there. Had a funny moment right there. Kenna Staley's got wandering eyes during the national anthem, and I just pointed at the flag, and she caught my look, and then had a funny reaction right there. I love those kind of funny reactions.
And I'm with you. Like all of these girls that are seniors tonight, I've had all of them in classes. I've coached a lot of them in other sports. Some bright kids, some sharp kids, and I've got pictures of Olivia and McKenna when they were like 3 or 4 years old playing soccer, ice cream dripping down their face after games and stuff. It's so awesome that, kids like that, they've grown up together,
Yeah, and one of the things that I mentioned out there is, obviously they're learning a lot on the basketball court, but they're just all great people.
Yeah.
I love that part about them too, and I think they represent our school so well.
I do too, and that's one of the great things about sports is those lifelong friendships you make. Whether you're winning or losing, those friendships are going to be valuable for them.
All right, Welcome to the Jungle is playing, so that means it's time for the starting lineup for the Warriors. And it is a different look starting lineup, as is Coach Roden's practice on senior night. He starts the seniors. So our starting lineup is going to be the 5 seniors that I mentioned earlier. It's going to be Livy Cundy, Taylin Whitehead, Kenna Staley, Tyler Mooring, and Cindy Mata. And I'm really excited to see Cindy Mata back. I know she's somebody that wasn't getting a ton of rotation time on the varsity. I know that she kind of embraced a role to be, a leader, even though she wasn't on the floor. She showed up at practice, worked hard every day. But she was seeing a little bit of time in some spot minutes during games. She ended up getting injured.
Yeah,
and so
she was in street clothes the last couple of games.
she hasn't been playing, and so I've seen her in Dewan's office, our athletic trainer. After school, I see her in there getting treatment, and I'm really happy to see her with the jersey on tonight, being able to start on senior night.
Yep, totally agree. She's a great kid, smart kid in the classroom.
Great personality.
Really good kid, yeah.
Her last name means murder in Spanish, so love that.
Now, didn't she have a sister who played in the program here at Snow Canyon?
No, Cindy's the only one that I know of her, but she's been in the program since she was a freshman, and she was like not only when she was a freshman she was on the team, but she would do a lot with like helping with like managerial tasks like filming and book work and stuff like that. Which, speaking of that, shout out, we have like a host of helpers tonight. We've got future Snow Canyon greats Livy Hamlin, Kelly Howard, and Joey Jensen manning the additional cameras for us.
That's right.
So,
Hamlin is going crazy with cameras now. We
right.
got 2 different angles we might be able to use today. So should be good.
And shout out to Josh, is that your name? Hamlin?
Levitt.
Oh, Levitt.
Josh Levitt running our main camera tonight.
Sorry, I'm having a full conversation. Who are you related to? Oh, all right, Emily and Bear. Emily Levitt, former Snow Canyon basketball and volleyball player who I coached. Bear,
Livy Cundy just about run that tip right there. That's her first jump ball of the year.
Oh, she almost had it.
She keeps her hand out of there the second time, and she probably gets it. Nice steal by Mata.
Steal by Mata, and she hands the ball off to Whitehead. Whitehead pushes the ball down the floor, skips it over to Mooring. There's kind of an energy right now to the team. There's movement, they're a little hop in their steps. There's a great attack by Whitehead.
I think these seniors are super excited to be having their senior night tonight, playing together, getting an opportunity to do what they're doing.
I think also it's exciting to be on a winning streak.
Yeah.
And to come in, and I was mentioning this before you got here, but there's a little bit of a catch-22. Like, they're going to be confident coming in against Crimson Cliffs because they beat them before. However, it was a tight game, and until the very end when Snow Canyon opened it up. And Crimson Cliffs, I'm sure, wants nothing more than to get a win in the region before the end of the season.
Yeah, you don't want to finish the region season, without a win in region. That's always tough. But again, there's a lot of young kids on the Mustang team right here, and they've got some really good talent. The Giants girl really ate us apart when we played them the first time, and until she got into foul trouble, we were having a hard time containing the offense that they were running through her. So.
And by the way, we're obviously there's a late start tonight. Senior night kind of delays things a little bit, but it was already late to begin with because the sophomore game went into overtime.
Yep.
And then the JV game was kind of a bloodbath at the end for like the last 2 or 3 minutes. And a lot of these same players for Crimson Cliffs were out there, and they weren't shying away from the physicality. So anyway, Snow Canyon sinks 2 free throws from Tyler Mooring, and now they're in their 1-2-2 zone in the half court. Crimson Cliffs moving the ball around the perimeter. I think Snow Canyon is totally fine with them moving it around the perimeter as long as that ball doesn't get entered to Gines in the post.
Right.
That's what they're trying to avoid.
Yep.
So right here they're making their rotations, talking to each other.
They've gone to this zone, a couple of times in their last few games, and as long as their hands are active, they've done a really good job, in that zone. And I missed you on the last broadcast, but Hamlin filled in great.
I was going to say, I already commented, I haven't been at the last 2, and they've won both games. So I don't know if I'm a jinx, but apparently not for Mooring. She's on a 5-0 run by herself after draining that 3.
Well, if things start to go bad at halftime, we may replace you.
Yeah, I might be out.
Yeah, but one thing I was going to tell you that I've seen the last couple of games from these Warriors is their ability to play a little bit more under control has definitely improved. When they played the last game that they had against Canyon View, Taylon Whitehead had, I thought, a really phenomenal game. She was able to penetrate seams and get under control getting to the basket, and it made those layups attempts just so much easier for them finishing at the rim.
Well, and one thing that I especially like about that is Snow Canyon breaks the press attempt from Crimson Cliffs, and there have been some subs now. The first sub of the game as Natalie Olson, the leading scorer, checks in for Cindy Mata. That was a good few minutes for Cindy Mata. There was a turnover right there by the Warriors as Kenna Staley was lifting on the penetration, which is something that you're taught in that offense, but I actually think she started lifting a little early. You're kind of supposed to wait for the jump stop before that happens.
Yeah, but still, Taylon jump stopped in there. She's looking for opportunities to make other people successful. It's just much more under control.
Good block by Cundy, and then we have another turnover right away. And that's going to be a frustration for Coach Roden, and he's keeping his composure. But one of the frustrations right there is Kenna Staley's probably your 2 guard, and she's trying to outlet it to your center running down the floor. And it's like, hang on, Kenna, you can dribble right here. So anyway, but what I was going to say about Taylon, to give her a little bit of a shout out, I know that she had a frustrating end to the win against Dixie, where Makari Wong was actually playing really well. She ended up being the one that hit the game winner right there. And so sometimes a player, when it's hard to be happy for your team when you're not having a good game, and sometimes that can fester. Taylin went the other way with it. She celebrated the win. Yep. She responded and played under control at Canyon View, and obviously I wasn't there, but after some conversations with people like you and just other people that were at the game, I just love that reaction. That's talking about a life lesson. That's something right there. It's like somebody else's success doesn't equal your failure, and learn from the frustrations and improve.
Yep.
And I think that's something we saw.
Absolutely. Yep. Good growth from her in those last 2 games for sure.
Gines is at the free throw line looking to score the first point. That's a foul on Tyler Mooring. The free throw's up and in from Gines, so that breaks this 3-minute scoreless streak for the Mustangs. And this Snow Canyon leads 5-1. Second free throw is long. Rebound goes to the Mustangs. The shot is off the mark. Gines crashes for the board and then puts it up and in. So she does a little 3-point run on her own. And Crimson is in this press. Whitehead breaks it on her own, swings it over to Staley. Staley up to Olsen.
It's a great extra pass, and Olsen was on fire in the JV game from behind the arc, and it looks like she's going to continue that streak here, at least for a little while.
I think that's that spot for the Warriors, because that's the same spot where Mooring hit hers from. Good ball movement, good recognition of where the openings on the floor are going to be for the Warriors. One thing to look for right here in this 1-2-2 zone that Snow Canyon is running is the rebounding responsibilities,
Correct.
Which is what we're seeing right here. Great job from Whitehead to go take that ball away. She picked up her dribble and got stuck, and she threw the ball down the floor looking for Staley, but it ends up being a turnover. But one of the things I was going to say is on that strong side, you've basically got somebody fronting the post, somebody playing behind. So a lot of the times on the weak side, there's not anybody down there yet, and so a lot of times it's going to be a Crimson Cliffs player. And so the opposite guard is going to have to work really hard to dive down to the opposite block and then box out a post player.
Yep.
And that's a weakness of a 1-2-2 zone. But I think Coach Roden's willing to trade that off because he wants to deny that entry pass to Ryan Gines.
Well, and that's another thing. Ryan Gines is such a strong individual down there under the basket. Regardless of where the box outs are coming from, that zone has got to find her and put a body on her. Right now, she's probably got 3 offensive rebounds early in this game, and a couple of them have put her to the line, which has given the Mustangs an opportunity to put points on the board here in the first quarter.
And that is a concern because that foul, there's only been 2 fouls on Snow Canyon, but both are on Tyler Mooring. So she is taking a break right now as Ebony Lealau checks into the game. And one of the things that I would mention when I was coaching was sometimes your post players get fouls. There's a 3-point attempt from Olsen. It's off. Crimson Cliffs with the rebound, and Gines brings the ball across half court. But sometimes your post players end up getting fouls because your guards didn't do their job, which is what we're talking about is boxing out that backside block. That's actually a guard responsibility right here. But when that ball is rebounded by Crimson Cliffs, then your last line of defense is attempting to block the shot, which is where Mooring's coming over and trying to do that, and she's getting those fouls called on her. So one of the things that, as a senior, as one of the primary leaders of the team, looks like Kenny Staley took an elbow or something to the face.
She was trying to defend Ryan there on that inbound play and got a little elbow from her.
Steal by Lealau, and she's going to bring the ball down. She passes it up to Whitehead. Whitehead advances the ball across half court. And a screen from Cundy. Whitehead gets fouled as she goes around that screen.
And in that last game against Canyon View, the Warriors set some really, really good screens in the offense they were running. It looked like Coach Roden either introduced some new plays for them or just brought back some stuff he hasn't used very often this year. But the plays were working quite well. The Warriors were setting good screens and able to free up those kids to drive to the basket. Here's one of those plays right there.
It's a little double. I think that one's called double.
Yeah, it's just a great screen action to get that guard an opportunity to get an easy drive to the basket.
Kind of some pistol action, but from the top of the key, right? Instead of, maybe they're watching the Utah Jazz screen assist. Rudy Gobert.
How about those boys?
Jazz are on fire right now.
They are on fire.
Annie Dunkley checks into the game for Kenna Staley. I think Coach Roden saw Kenna holding her side of her head, and it looks like Kenna is okay when she came out. Crimson Cliffs moves the ball around. Yet another offensive rebound for Gines. And not only does she get the offensive rebound, but on her way up, she's fouled and scores. So Gines has all of the points for Crimson right now. and she'll go to the line for a free throw attempt. Fouls on Lealau. That's going to be something to pay attention to, as the Warriors have accumulated 4 fouls, almost all of them on offensive rebounds.
Yep, and all of them against
Giants. She's not hitting her free throws right now, but I'm sure that's something that'll come. You don't want to keep giving opportunities at the free throw line for a leading scorer like that. Olsen looks to attack. She gives it up to Whitehead. Whitehead absorbs some contact. That's not
an easy finish.
Her layup finishes, that's something I actually noticed from her as a freshman, is when we were trying to teach girls like finishing moves, they don't naturally like to do the underhand. Like a lot of boys, because they're finishing up around the rim, will do like kind of a finger roll look. Girls like to do the overhand with their elbow bent, almost like a jump shot, but from a layup attempt. And Taylin has always preferred that underhand finish, so she's able to absorb the contact and finish right there. Crimson commits a turnover because they thought the referee was their teammate, and so they passed the ball to him. He got out of the way, and it went out of bounds. And
Coach Roden takes a 30 there.
So it looks like, curious what the timeout's going to be for. I'm wondering if it's for some offensive adjustments. I think Crimson's gone to, I can't tell if they're in a zone or like a switching man right now.
The only shot Crimson's hit has been that and one that Giants put in.
And then 3 free throws.
Anything from the outside they haven't hit. So, maybe
probably
he's
talking about rebounding.
Let's box her up. Put 2 kids on Giants. Keep her off the glass. Go ahead and let them shoot till they make one. And just box out.
And it's so hard to break the habit. It's even hard at upper levels. I call it the magic ball theory. Like people, when the shot goes up, their heads go up, they look at the ball, they follow it to the rim. It almost is like a magnet. They follow it to the rim, but if it's going to be a missed shot, it's moving away from the rim. So you got to go box out away from the rim, not under the basket. And because even if the shot misses and goes under the basket, if you've boxed out 5 feet away, you can then release your box out and go secure the ball. But I think that's something that they were seeing. Olsen with another 3-point attempt, and she is on fire. You could see her little wrist flick after she made that. She's feeling it.
When her feet are set and that ball comes from the inside, kicked out to her, I'll bet she's shooting a really, really high percentage this year. It's a good-looking shot.
I like that, too. Whitehead contests the shot, and the rebound's going to go to Lealau, and she's leaking out. We've got a 2-on-1. Lealau's going right into the contact. You're either a hammer or a nail, Cundy, and right there, Lealau was 100% the hammer.
Yeah.
And she saw the Crimson Cliffs defender moving and didn't shy away from the contact at all.
And she doesn't shy away from contact for sure. When she
like
drives, she drives to create that contact and try to get something positive happening at the rim.
She's like, I bet next time this person doesn't stand there. Lealau hits her first free throw. We have never looked at the percentage, but I swear she's like a 90% shooter. I jinxed her. But I don't believe in jinxes.
Halftime's on its way,
yeah. Oh, with our 11. I can't keep doing it. Hey, I will say I don't believe in jinxes, but I've never been more upset in a sporting event than when I was coaching the volleyball team when we were up 24-0 in the 4th set, about to beat Desert Hills for the first time in my coaching career, and our fans started chanting, I believe that we will win, and we lost 6 points in a row and then lost the 5th set. And I walked over to the fans and I was like, you will never do that cheer again. Never again. So anyway.
Fett DePasa into the game, grabs a good loose ball rebound right there.
Hey, you were there. She got some strong minutes in the Dixie game as well, right? She was finishing.
They needed her to defend the big Dixie post. Who I found out later on is a relative of Fett's.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and so
Lealau with a 3-point attempt from the top of the key, and she drills it. Hey, and I like that too, because one of the things that I know Coach Roden has emphasized with her is having that shooting within the flow of the offense. And right there was basically a dribble handoff. She's got the range. She was a couple steps behind the 3. She did take a dribble, but it was almost more like a gather dribble, and then it wasn't a step back. It wasn't contested. She just hits the shot from straight on. So Snow Canyon extends their lead. There's another rebound for Giants, but they don't allow the second shot attempt, which was good. And there's one of those little coaching things that I know Coach Roden I know for sure he's emphasized this. Why on earth are we trying to block a shot? We've got this person. First of all, we're 5'5" guards, right? That's something where it's like. And we're also doing a great job of defending. We closed out on the open shot. We forced her to put the ball on the ground. She's shooting as she's running. it's like, let's just contest and box out. Even a great team shoots 50%, if that, from the field, 40% from the field. So 6 out of 10 times on an open shot, they're going to miss. Contested shots, they're going to miss far more frequently. But it's just so hard not to swat at the ball.
Especially the little guards. They want to be the big men so bad, and they want to block some stuff. Yeah. Kennedy Ritchie, the one who draws that foul, steps to the line and nails both her free throws.
20 seconds to go in the first quarter as Snow Canyon. Oh, this is Jocelyn Olsen, the other Olsen twin. She did a good job of running to her spot down the floor. Leila found her. It was an open three, but she's off the mark a little bit. But we started the night with the seniors. Now we've got a preview of a future Snow Canyon lineup with all underclassmen on the floor right now. And we're now giving 3 free throws. That's a cardinal sin in basketball, is fouling a jump shooter.
And with 4 seconds left.
Yeah. And also, they haven't hit a three-pointer.
They haven't hit a shot. All their shots have come from the free throw line or the little putback that Ryan had right there. And that's Whitley Stuckey, who's to the line for the Mustangs right now.
She puts her first one in. Another thing to pay attention to is Snow Canyon does now have 16 fouls. So on the first foul in the second quarter, Crimson Clips will be shooting free throws for the rest of the game. And she does miss her last free throw attempt, but Crimson gets the rebound. Dunkley's going to steal it. There's not enough time left to do anything with it, though. Leila trips on Tapas's feet. She's okay, though. She gets up smiling. So after one, Snow Canyon lead with a 10-point lead right now. But we saw a couple of things occurring at the end of the quarter, especially with the accumulation of fouls. A team that falls behind by double digits, their best friend is scoring with the clock stopped, and that's something that Crimson's going to be able to do. Hey, you've got some sponsors on your screen, and we want to give them a shout out real quick.
Absolutely. As we're coming to a close here of Region 9 games, we are super grateful for the sponsors that we have. Let's go ahead and hit some of the ones here in the arena, Ryan. We've got Southwest Skin and Cancer.
Split Rock Custom
Development.
Homes.
Speaking of Split Rock, I was at their home show this weekend. Phenomenal house.
Oh, nice.
Bart Smith and
the
Split
Parade
Rock.
of Homes?
Yes, so good. LP Building Solutions, Findlay Volkswagen, Dixie, St. George Motors, the Intermountain Sports Medicine with our great trainer here at Snow Canyon, DeJuan Shakespeare, and Dr. Christian Millward, who helps take care of our athletes, the Zion Eye Institute, and Durham, Jones, and Pinniger.
We've also got Stephen Wade Auto Center, Fed Up, the meal prep service, Tag and Go Express Car Wash, Robert J. DeBry, and Intermountain Acceleration in St. George. Hey, takeaways from that first quarter, Kundi, what are we thinking?
Warriors did great. I mean, they're hitting their shots right now. They've got 3 threes, which is pretty much what their lead is right now. I thought that their ability to get to the hole was pretty good. Patience beating the press. Overall, I'd give them a pretty good rating there in that first quarter.
The ball gets deflected out of bounds. We had a miscommunication on who's playing where. This is Crimson's running a 1-3-1, so Leila with the rebound and an attempted putback. She looks like she bobbled the ball a little bit. But Crimson's running a 1-3-1 defense, so Coach Roden runs X, which you just create an X on the floor. You put people in all 4 corners and 1 person in the middle, and you basically force rotations. But Jocelyn Olsen, who hasn't had a ton of varsity playing time, was probably used to sitting in the corner, but with this lineup, she needed to be at the top. Crimson comes down to run their offense, and a foul is committed by Leila, which will then be a 1-and-1. So that took 42 seconds to get into the bonus in the second quarter. So Crimson's going to benefit from attempting 7 free throws for the remainder of the quarter. And to be completely honest, if we're just analyzing performance, it would not be a 10-point lead if Crimson Cliffs was making their free throws. I think they've missed a handful, and so they just missed the front end of a 1-and-1, which is like missing 2 because you don't get the second attempt.
Correct.
But the ball gets deflected off the Warriors out of bounds, so Crimson's going to get another offensive
Warriors
possession
are
here.
still just floating to that rim to rebound instead of hitting and making contact to go grab that ball.
Mooring gets the rebound, dribbles it out to safety, and then hands it off to Whitehead at the top of the key.
Yeah, Crimson's really extending that 1-3-1 of theirs, which should open up a ton of driving seams.
Good ball movement from the Warriors. Good skip pass. The twin connection. Oh, Olsen is known as a shooter. Jocelyn is able to hit shots from range. She has ever since she was in 7th grade playing in the Utah Summer Games with the JV team. But she's been off the mark on these first 3 attempts that she's had, and I think it's because she's rushing her shot.
Yeah, her
a little
feet
bit.
look a little uncomfortable as she's standing there waiting for that pass to come. It just doesn't look like she's getting into any kind of a rhythm as she's stepping into that shot.
Good rebound from Whitehead. She passes it out to Olsen, who finds Mooring, who finds the other Olsen twin, and she is on the mark from range. That's her 3rd three-pointer of the game, and that extends the Warrior lead to 13.
Yeah, we've talked about this in broadcasts previous. When the Warriors are hitting their threes, they're a pretty dangerous team and pretty hard to stay with and beat.
It's a good, so Jocelyn Olsen actually made an athletic recovery right there to catch the pass. That's one of the things that we would practice every day when I was Coach Roden's assistant, and I continue to do it, but the guards need to run wide with their backs to the sideline, and Whitehead attacks and kicks it out to Olsen. We're a little frenetic right here, but Olsen with a good attack kicks it out to Mooring. Shots off the mark, and Snow Canyon will retreat to defense. But one of the things is you don't want to advance a ball to your wing when they're facing the sideline and their backs to the basket. It's just really hard to catch and then turn around without traveling and then find your bearings. And so Olsen on the last possession actually made an athletic catch, but then to avoid traveling, she was trying to throw the ball back, and it ended up being a turnover. Looks like that shot was deflected by the Warriors out of bounds, so Crimson Cliffs will inbound from underneath their basket, and Kenna Staley checks back in for Jocelyn Olsen. Gines is back in the game for the Mustangs.
Jeez, grab the ball, girls.
So there we go. We talked about the importance of rebound, and I think that it probably is what was emphasized in that timeout by Coach Roden, because we can see a more concerted, or maybe in between the quarters, but we can see a more concerted effort. And of course, as a coach, those are the things that kind of just make you drop your head. You're like, girls, we all need to rebound. And right there, 3 Warriors were fighting for the rebound, and they knocked it out of each other's hands.
That's 3 offensive rebounds in a row for the Mustangs, and they're able to put a basket in. Cut this lead back to single digits for the Warriors.
On that first offensive rebound, the ball was kind of a long rebound. The ball kicked out to Staley. Staley attempts a 3 from the corner. She's off the mark. Gines on the rebound is now fouled by Whitehead, so she will go to the line for a 1-and-1. But anyway, it was a long rebound that was bouncing on the floor multiple times, and there were 3 Warriors and 1 Mustang, and each one of the Warriors thought that one of the other 2 was going to get it. I know I saw Kenna Staley leak out. She was thinking, I'm going to get a layup here. And then the other 2 Warriors were trying to figure out which one was going to go for it. And in the meantime, the Mustang didn't have to think about who was going to go for it. Right. Like, I'm just going to get it. And so she went for it.
Stay disciplined. Do your job. Can't do anything without the basketball. Make sure you secure that thing first.
Gines shoots the first 1-and-1, and what was funny is we'll kind of laugh, and she's laughing at herself because she like trotted back down the floor, but she forgot that if you made it, you got a second attempt. But the funny thing is, once she started running away, the rest of the girls were already trying to inbound the balls. Like everybody was doing it. That reminds me of I'm just over here telling stories now, but my first year coaching freshman, or it must have been my second year coaching freshman girls basketball, because I had Natalie Coulomb on my 3-pointer from Whitehead. Extends that lead back to 11 for the Warriors, but Natalie Coulomb was on my freshman team, and we were up at American Fork, and it was like the 3rd day of a 3-day road trip, and it's like, you've been there before, it's like a slog. We're playing at like noon. We had just finished our game the night before at like 10 o'clock, and we're not playing super great, and I probably could have handled things more tactfully, but I was very stern at halftime. I think we had like 10 points at halftime. So these girls get out there, and they're trying to make something happen, and Natalie gets a steal and runs to the wrong basket and is trying to put the shot in. She attempted 3 shots at the wrong basket, and the funniest thing is the opposing team defended every one of those shots. We should have had a 10-second violation. We ended up blocking our own shot out of bounds and then just going to play defense. And Natalie was laughing about it after. So shout out to you, Natalie Coulomb, if you're listening. I remember that, and it was really funny, and I loved that you were hustling and trying to make things happen.
And as a coach, don't you just want to run out there and just swat that thing
I
away?
was trying to tell somebody else on the other team, on our team, to go defend our own player. I was like, go block it. Don't let her score. But it was hilarious that the other team was defending it. The refs were all confused. They didn't know what to do either.
Great. Hey, Warriors are playing some pretty good defense today. The zone of theirs is active. Kenneth Staley there just got a deflection, on a wing entry pass, went out of bounds. But good energy, like you said, coming out for the Warriors
Looks
today.
like there's an adjustment here where typically on that 1-2-2, when that ball goes down to the corner, the post girl in the 1-2-2 formation, it's the bottom one of the two.
Correct.
Is supposed to go out and defend the corner. And I think after seeing some of Crimson's struggle shooting from the perimeter, Coach Roden made the adjustment. I don't want my post player to leave Ryan Gines on the block. So he's actually having the topside guard cover the entire perimeter. So they're just surrendering the open three-point look for a second to not allow the entry pass, and it's paying dividends. And Whitehead has caught fire right now. She is now up to 9 points, and it's been in about the last 4 possessions where she's hit a 3 and then 3 consecutive jump shots from about the same spot on the floor. And she's also doing really good with that backside rebound, and she's taking the ball away from some of the girls that get it. There she deflects a shot. Looks like there might have been some steps right there, but it wasn't called. Kenneth Staley with the rebound, and she outlets it, or not outlets it, but gives it to Whitehead. And Whitehead's going to slow it up and walk it across half court. There's a sign of maturity right there.
Yep.
Instead of just sprinting to do everything, which as I say that, Mooring has a decent look at a 3, and she lets it fly. It's off the mark. But what I was going to say is with the 15-point lead, 2.5 minutes to go to halftime, it's like what we've talked about in the past. We don't actually have to do anything right now. We can move that offense until we make it happen. I was looking at you. You're going to have to
Kenneth
commentate.
Staley with a rejection on the three-point attempt right there.
That's a journal entry right
Swats
there.
that thing out of bounds.
She heard me saying, why are we trying to block shots? We're 5'4" guards. And she's like, well, this is why. Because I can volleyball spike it out of bounds. So there we go. What do I know?
And again, it's just a product of their hands being up and active in this zone. Crimson is absolutely right now struggling to put a basket in from outside of the paint.
Dunkley checks in, and did Lealau just check back in?
Lealau did check back in.
Oh, Olsen needs to look opposite right there.
She does.
Lealau was sitting there with her feet set on the wing. It's not a bad shot from Olsen, but there's a better shot available right there if she just makes that. And if you make that pass, pretty soon those players aren't collapsing on you in that high post, and then you're getting layup attempts instead of contested jump shots.
Tapasa doing some good defensive work right there.
Good
Warriors
rebound from
corral the
Olsen.
rebound. There we go.
Dunkley's going to slow it down, bring it across half court. Warriors are in X right now. Lealau with the ball in the corner. She's going to let it fly from 3. It's long. Tapasa fights for the rebound, but Crimson gets it, and they're on a 3-on-2. Now it's a 3-on-3 fast break. But nobody stopped the ball. They let her get all the way to the Warrior head.
And this is going to be a hard thing for Coach Roden to deal with at halftime. We are in love with the three-point shot right now. And it's not that the shots aren't open like you said, but right now our last 3 shots have been one pass shot. We can get that three-point look probably anytime we want.
Well, you absolutely can because of the way that Crimson's defending. They're in this zone. They can't make the rotation fast enough. And I used to hate it in high school when my coaches would do this to me, but now I understand it. I would almost give a pass limit with a 15-point lead in a half-court offense. I'd be like, unless you're getting an uncontested layup, we need to make 8 passes before we attempt a shot. The problem is when you do that, on the 8th pass, whoever caught it, that ball was going up. They could have been 50 feet away from the hoop, and they were like, well, it's 8 passes. Now I'm allowed to shoot. Here we go.
Not understanding the reason why you're trying to get them to do that.
But even at that point, it's not any different than what we're getting right now. That was always my mindset. It's like, well, right now we're getting open threes on 1 pass. We're going to get open threes on the 8th pass. So even if they're not understanding it, I'm burning 40
and the difference
seconds.
there is those 8 passes. You're actually making the opposing team play a little bit of defense and making them work. You go 1 pass shot, you don't make the other team work, and that's when runs and streaks happen to close gaps and extend leads.
To Snow Canyon's credit, they have cleaned up the fouling issues. They were in the bonus, or Crimson was in the bonus with 7 fouls. There's going to be a turnover from Lealau. And it leaks out to a layup. I would like to see the, if you commit a turnover, to be back on defense contesting the shot. There we go, some good ball movement. Ball goes to the high post. Olsen attacks, moving away from the basket right there where she puts the shot attempt up. I think she needs to go into that contact a little bit more.
Force the officials to make some kind of a call. Don't shy away from that contact.
And there's a shot at the buzzer, and Crimson Cliffs is just off. They played even in the second quarter. Snow Canyon at a couple of points had extended the lead to as much as 15, I believe. But Crimson ends the quarter on a run.
Yeah, Warriors got a little casual with the basketball, took some not good shot selections there towards the end, and allowed Crimson to go on a little run to end the quarter and keep the game relatively close.
Well, and one thing I saw, there was a couple, and this is like, it's you want to play to a standard, not to a score. We've mentioned this before. There have been a couple of times, multiple, I said something on the last one, and I should have said something on the other one, so I'm not like calling out an individual, but there were 3 different players that I saw commit turnovers that then didn't make it across half court by the time the shot was attempted. And I just knew, as a point guard who handled the ball a lot, I probably committed more turnovers than most players on my team because I was, the ball was in my hands more often. But it was just like a personal point of pride in me. If I turn the ball over, I'm 100% going to be one of the ones that's defending on the other end. Even if I'm just sprinting behind somebody I'm going to make that person sprint to make their layup, and then I'll do better with possessing the ball.
Right.
Hey, we're going to take a break. It is halftime right now. We've got 9 minutes until the third quarter. We'll come back in 7.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the floor. The disrespect for everything that is sacred is what's wrong with this society.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, WarriorNation.tv. We thank the almost 100 of you that are watching this broadcast. We would love it if you would advertise for us and get that number up over 100. The Warriors playing in their last region game of the night, or the year, senior night, and they lead by 10 at halftime. What are some thoughts, Kundi?
I thought it was a decent first half. Again, we shot the threes really well in the first and beginning of the second quarter. Started taking some quick ones that weren't falling towards the end of the second quarter, but the three-point shooting is definitely what has the Warriors in the lead right now. We're going to need to continue having some patience, making some shots here in the second half.
Here's the difference. Hey, basketball players are basketball players. The concepts are the same, but there are absolutely some differences between coaching boys and coaching girls. And one of those differences I just witnessed on the court, as these girls came out here before it started, there was some Michael Jackson playing, and 3 girls started doing a dance in unison on the court before the game started. So Kenna, Staley, Tyler, and one other. Anyway, it seems like they'd practiced that dance at one point in their life.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, for those Olsen with a 3 from the top of the key, and Staley goes in to fight for the rebound, and her and Gines, I'm positive, know each other,
yes.
and they're laughing at each other. Staley gets the foul called on her and dealt with the brunt of the force, so it was a double whammy for her. Anyway, yeah, hey, one of the things I wanted to point out, though, too, is a lot of the times we're talking about, like, oh, we got to look here and we got to do things. Hopefully our audience knows you're listening to 2 coaches dissect a basketball game. We could win by 100 points, and I would identify things that we need to do better. Like, that's just the mindset of a coach, right? It's like, hey, great, these things are good. So I loved what I saw. I love the energy level from the Warriors. But there's little things like what we saw right there where we got beat off the dribble, and we're committing fouls by trying to block shots. And while we'll remember, Kenna had a great block in the first half, we also committed 7 fouls trying to block shots. So that ratio, I don't want that. I'd rather have 0 blocks and no fouls on that.
And like you were saying, if Crimson was hitting their free throws in the first half, this is a different story, and they start the second half here by making their first free throw attempt.
And the clock is, when you're ahead by double digits, you're almost playing against the clock more than you are playing against your opponent. And I even know it's really early in the second half, so Snow Canyon's obviously still going to run offense and try to score. But it's not the worst thing in the world when you have a double-digit lead if a lot of time goes off when you're running your offense instead of that pass somehow made it to Olsen, and Mooring attacks. Did a little Euro step, it looked like. Ball is loose, and there's those casual passes right there, too. The Crimson defender read it, and Coach Roden's mask just moved up above his eyeballs because you could hear his voice echoing throughout the gym on the last foul, where he screamed at his team to be straight up when they're defending. And now for the second possession in a row, a foul is called on a Warrior for swinging her arm down on a block attempt instead of on a.
And I think that the Mustangs did a good job. I mean, in that probably middle of the second quarter is when they went to this kind of extended 1-3-1 zone. And yes, that's giving some open looks for the Warriors, but those open looks are turning into quick shots. And I think that defense has done exactly what Crimson wants it to do. It sped the Warriors up. They haven't adjusted offensively to the new look that they've been given, and they've struggled a little bit since they've changed to that 1-3-1.
Yeah, and we've talked about this a lot. I mean, and a lot of people watch basketball, so a lot of people have, ideas and opinions on things, and it's like hard sometimes for people to be like, why are you telling them to stop shooting threes?
Good steal by Taylon Whitehead right there on the wing, able to take that all the way down and convert the transition layup, put the Warriors back up 10 with just under 6 minutes to go here in the third quarter.
So anyway, what I was getting at before that is it's like, why tell them to stop shooting threes? We're not necessarily saying to stop shooting threes. That just doesn't need to be the first option right now. And high school basketball, the least consistent shot are going to be, if you're hitting 7 out of 9 threes early, you're not going to make 7 out of 9 again. Ryan Gines just hits a 3 from long range and cuts the lead to 7. Whitehead brings the ball across half court, moves it over to Mooring, back to Whitehead, who's at the top of the key, finds Olsen at the high post. And as Olsen turns and looks to attack, she is fouled.
Yeah.
The thing I'd like to see in this offense, Kundi, is I'd like to see that ball move from one corner to the opposite corner, not in
just
multiple
across
passes.
the top, yeah.
And make all of those girls rotate multiple times. That is the third foul on number 4 for Crimson. So that's something to pay attention to for them. Olsen gets an open shot at the top of the key on an inbounds
And so
and drains it.
I'm going to talk about the threes here. There's a huge difference between that three that we just took and the other ones that are happening here. You talk about making your first 7 out of 9, and you're saying, why stop shooting? Well, those first 7 out of 9 have come because we've moved the ball, we've gone inside, we've kicked it to a shooter, they've been in balance, they've been in rhythm, and those are the shots that they take when they're warming up. We start making those, and now they think they can just cast up a three, you know, wherever they're at, whenever they catch it, wherever the angle is coming from, because they're making shots. And now they're taking shots that aren't necessarily the best rhythm three-pointers for them.
Yeah.
That one right there is a kick out from an inbound. Olsen's feet are set. She's in rhythm. She makes the shot.
The play's designed to shoot that
Yes.
three, so that's a difference. And like you were saying, it's like with the half-court offense, you can run your offense for minutes and get the same open look that you're getting right now. So what we would love is that you mentioned this earlier, it's hard to play defense for a long period of time. It's
Right.
easy to play offense for a long period of time. So why only play offense for a second and then play defense for a minute when you could play offense for a minute and then create situations where the other team is a little bit frustrated and then they start to rush. So you're kind of playing into your opponent's hands if you have a lead and then you start playing quick offense. Lainey Levitt checks into the game for Olsen and immediately gets a block on a three-point attempt.
Yeah, she didn't jump for it. She just stuck her arms up, stayed tall, and the girl just shot right into her extended hand.
Here's a good attack from Levitt. Good rebound by Leila, and she's going to put the shot up and in. One of the things I liked right there is Levitt went to the ball to catch it. That Crimson they know where we're trying to pass it, and so they're starting to jump those passing lanes. And the solution there is a couple of things. You can ball fake and then back cut. That was a rule that I was taught in high school, that anytime your teammate ball fakes a pass to you, you should immediately back cut. And a lot of the times you get those lanes to the hoop. But the other thing is when that pass is thrown, go meet it, because now you're going to have an attack lane because the defender's jumping past you. But ball goes out of bounds off the Warriors, and it's rebounded by Levitt on the shot attempt off the inbound play. Whitehead is pushing the pace, and she's going to kick out to Staley, who takes a three from the corner. And Leila is there for the rebound, and she's off the mark on the putback. But that's 3 possessions in a row that I think Leila has gotten an offensive rebound. And we were talking about those three-point attempts. Whitehead attacks. She kicks out to Staley. Staley's all alone out there. She's got to take that shot.
Good
but
shot.
The other thing that I liked about that is it was kind of in a secondary break situation. So Crimson hadn't set their defense, and Snow Canyon had 2 offensive rebounds on the opposite side. The frustration there is after we missed the putback, we then committed a foul 80 feet away from their hoop. And we've now committed 5 team fouls in the third quarter. So Crimson is going to be inevitably shooting free throws soon, and for most likely most of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and we thought we were fouling a lot in the first half, and we didn't get to the bonus till the very beginning of the second quarter, where we may be giving Crimson the bonus 2 or 3 minutes remaining here in the third quarter if we're not careful.
That's another thing. So I'm going to highlight something that happened really well right there. That is something that I actually think the Warriors can probably work on to improve their offensive movement into the postseason. The guard didn't bring the ball all the way to the three-point line before she entered it to the high post. I think it was, who was it? Staley that entered it. And she was like at the volleyball line or even behind, but Mooring was open as Whitehead pulls up for a jump shot. She's off the mark, but Staley with the rebound, and Whitehead relaxes and looks to call a set. She gives the ball off to Levitt, back to Whitehead. Down to Staley, and Staley's going to attack off 1 foot. The ball's off the mark. Leila's there for the rebound.
Good box
but
out
doesn't
from
get
the
it.
Mustangs right there.
So anyway, back to that entry from basically the half-court line. It stretched out Crimson's defense, and so when Mooring caught it, she turned and faced, and Leila was wide open in the opposite corner, and that's where she got one of those wide-open threes that went down for her.
It's a good high-post entry pass right there from the Mustangs. Able to get a little turnaround jumper right there at the logo inside the key.
A couple of subs waiting to come in for the Warriors. It looks like Natalie Olsen and Annie Dunkley are looking to come back into the game. And so Coach Roden takes a timeout with 2 minutes remaining, presumably to get the subs in, but I'm positive that he's also going to talk to them about their discipline on defense.
Yeah. maybe even talk a little bit about the fouls that they're committing. You know, it's one thing to foul people when they're going in to shoot and you're, you know, being aggressive on the post, but those 80-foot fouls, the ones that are so far away from the basket, tough to have to deal with those.
It's really hard, too, for an athlete who's trying to do what the coach is asking them to do, but it's not a standardized thing that you do, right? Like, if we're down by 10 or 15, trying to get an extra possession on a rebound down there, maybe you want it to happen. You're like, we have to get the ball back, so we have to be a little bit more risky with our play. But when you're protecting a 15-point lead, there's not really a reason. It's frustrating that you missed the shot, but what I would say is unless once they have the ball, just go back and play defense,
right.
and let's just get the possession that way. So Snow Canyon, after the timeout, they get the ball. The ball's deflected, but Lealau does a good job of getting the loose ball. They're moving it around the corner. An attempted entry into Mooring, and Mooring had good position but did not seal Gines, and so Gines jumps around her and deflects the pass away. And now Snow Canyon's on defense. The three-point flies from the Mustangs, and Natalie Olson with the rebound, and she's headed to the basket.
Good Euro.
Nice little Euro step right there.
Oh.
Kind of a rough call. Try not to be too critical of the referees, but Natalie Olson did about everything she could do to avoid the contact, including a very beautiful Euro step, and the referee blew the whistle and then waited about 5 seconds and then gave the offensive. Typically when it's an offensive foul, the referee calls it immediately. It was almost like he was still making up his mind, which it is a tough call. Not criticizing the referees. We couldn't play the game without them, and nobody wants to be a referee if all they ever hear are complaints about him, but that's also frustrating for a player who did everything right to then be penalized for it.
Yep. That's just one of those things where you just got to learn from that mistake, and refs are going to make a lot of them, and you just move on to the next play. Don't dwell on it too long.
And if I'm coaching Natalie right there, I'm saying, hey, never change that. Like, you did everything right there. They made the mistake, and you're getting penalized for it. That's not your fault. Because sometimes, players think that if they committed a foul that they did something wrong. And sometimes that was my passive-aggressive way of saying something to the refs, is I would say, Natalie, that was perfect. Don't ever change what you just did.
Right.
Got a couple more subs. I know that Natalie did just pick up her third on that offensive foul, so Lainey Levitt comes back into the game, and then Whitehead checks in for Dunkley. I'm not sure if Whitehead, when she came out on that timeout, good block from Levitt, but then Gines gets her own rebound, and then another foul. Yeah, Whitehead went to go have her hand attended to. She's got tape on her right hand now. It looks like she may have jammed a finger or something like that, which, you know what I called jammed fingers was basketball season. This is just something that happened every season. Jammed fingers and sprained ankles.
That's right.
Free throws off the mark for Gines, and Snow Canyon is maintaining this 13-point lead with a minute to go. This is almost kind of a mirror image of the last game here, Kundi. The last game it was close the entire game, and then it was opened up in the fourth quarter. This game kind of got opened up in the first quarter, and then it's been close ever since.
Right. Yeah, other than those first 3 minutes, it has been a little bit back and forth. Warriors fouling has kind of kept Crimson, close with all the free throw attempts that they're getting.
Whitehead moves the ball over to Mooring on the wing. Mooring back to Whitehead and then down to Lealau. She finds Levitt in the high post. A good ball fake from Levitt.
Great entry pass from
She steps through, puts the ball off the glass. Must be a Tim Duncan fan right there. And Levitt puts the ball in, and that extends the Warrior lead to 15. And good rotation from Levitt. We're seeing a lot of good things. Levitt's made things happen since she's been in the game both times. There's that up and under.
Dribble.
There's that controlled movement. Whitehead kept her head up. She saw the defensive rotations, stepped through the open area, and then made a bit of an acrobatic, and that's one of the things we were talking about before, is that underhand finish, which is not typical in the girls' basketball game. Lealau, the ball gets advanced to her, and I could see right there Roden was telling her to shoot that ball in transition. That's that game scenario we're talking about there, Kundi. 5 minutes to go in the quarter. We probably don't like a pull-up three with all Crimson players in front of you, but with less than 10 seconds to go in the quarter, Whitehead gets the rebound, advances it to Lealau. Lealau, under control, brings the ball to the wing, and then pulls up and drills the three with less than 5 seconds to go. The lead's 20.
Yeah, It's a good finish to the quarter for the Warriors right there. Good rebounding, a good transition to get some layups. Pretty good finish to the quarter there.
The only mild concern, which in the fourth quarter, with I always had benchmarks. 2 fouls in the first half, I was a little concerned about, depending on how crucial. Like if you're my key player, I probably still play you with 2 fouls, but 3 fouls in the third quarter is not a huge problem. We have like 4 players with 3 fouls right now. So the only mild concern there is usually you're dealing with 1 or 2 players that have 3 fouls going into the fourth, and you just manage their minutes. But when your whole rotation is dealing with 3 fouls, the only mild concern there is if we foul out three key players at the end of the game, it's a little bit of pins and needles until the final buzzer sounds.
Yeah, it definitely could be, and hopefully some of those role players on the bench, if that happens, come in a little bit more relaxed because the lead is 20.
So we're back out here, and we do have 2 players on the floor right now with 3 fouls, and that is Natalie Olson and Ebony Lealau. The other player who's not in the game right now is Kenna Staley that has 3 fouls. So those are 3 of your key contributors. Crimson starts the fourth quarter on offense. Giants with the ball at the top of the key. That seems to have been a change that the Crimson, Whitehead with the long rebound, and she's in a foot race now. She smartly slows up and resets the offense. She skips it over to Dunkley. Dunkley back to Whitehead. I would love to see Dunkley face the hoop right there, because if Dunkley turns and faces the hoop, that bottom defender has to make a decision. Is she going to guard Dunkley or is she going to guard Lealau? And whichever decision she makes is wrong, as long as you know what to do offensively. If she guards Lealau, Dunkley attacks. If she comes out on Dunkley, she kicks it to Lealau, who's probably the best three-point shooter on the team, depending on how Olsen's shooting that night. So just a key is always face the hoop. Catch the ball, face the hoop. Dunkley right here. There's a good attack from Dunkley, a left-handed attempt. Just a little short right there, but I love that I see that from her. She recognized the opening and she attacked it.
Yeah, that's good work. They're running a little weave action there at the top that time offensively, and a seam opened up. Confidence with the left hand, and she went right at it.
One of the things I was going to mention, this is, my scatterbrain. Sometimes I start thoughts and then get distracted by something else that's going on, but I noticed an offensive adjustment that Crimson made, and now it's kind of a moot point because she's been out of the game. But basically the whole first half, they had Gines down on the low block, trying to enter the ball to her so that she could do some work underneath the basket. And they have moved her out to the perimeter now, and they're trying to get her like a head of steam to the basket. So she's playing a lot more on the exterior.
Yeah, the Warriors have done a really good job swarming to the basketball and getting double teams on her when she gets the ball even close to the paint. So getting her a little bit more involved perimeter inside has been a good adjustment from the Mustangs.
And that is now the fourth Warrior player with 3 fouls is Taylon Whitehead, who did commit the turnover in the half court. They're trying to move the ball down to the corner. And that was one of those things I was talking about with the ball fake back cut. In this X offense, there's not a lot of inherent movement. It's all movement based off of reads. So you have people standing in the 4 corners, like down in the corner and then 2 at the top. And what happens is the defense starts extending into those passing lanes, trying to do exactly what just happened, where Whitehead tried to throw a pass to the corner and the Crimson Cliffs girl steals it from her. But that's actually what you want when you're running this offense, because if that defender is extending clear out to the 3-point line to cut off your passing lane, now your girl in the corner can cut to the block and you're getting a layup attempt instead of a 3-point attempt.
Warriors getting a few second chances with some offensive rebounds. With Gines not in the game, Warriors have some good opportunities in there to go grab some of them offensive rebounds, get some second chance shots at the basket.
There's a turnover from Crimson Cliffs. That is an example of good defense, and this is something that I would highlight where I coach in the team, where I say, look, we didn't even swipe at the ball. We just played with our feet and we were in the right spot. And the girl commits the turnover because we cut her off. She had to change directions and she wasn't planning on it. Ball's deflected out of bounds off of a baseline attack from Olsen. She's trying to skip to the opposite corner and it gets deflected out of bounds from Crimson Cliffs. The inbound comes to Lealau. She attacks. Good attack to the elbow, but she was floating sideways when she puts that shot up. We'd love to see a jump stop right there and either knock down a set shot, or you've got the whole defense focused on you, then you find a cutter or kick it out to somebody. Part of that, though, is the offense needs to cut as well off of those penetrations. Whitehead attacks to the free throw line, and I know that is a principle that Coach Roden always emphasizes when you're in a mid-transition game like that. Attack to the free throw line. Attack until they stop you, and if you can stop and pop from the free throw line, we'll take that shot all the time. Good defense by Whitehead. She goes with her, there's
hands.
that deflection right there, and Olsen ends up getting the steal off of the deflection from Whitehead, and she's looking to push the pace. Nobody's stopping her. She gets all the way to the basket for a layup as well. It was a 1-on-5 layup that ended up going in, and it was not contested, so that was interesting.
She found a seam and was able to get down there.
Warriors are now ahead 23 points, so, you know, hey, there are 5 minutes to go, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm not the jinx right now.
I would agree.
Yeah,
It's
also
good to have
because
you back.
I don't believe in it. But but after I mentioned that it was a mirror image, Snow Canyon went the other way. In the fourth quarter, they're extending it. It was a 10-point game after one. It was a 10-point game after two. And until about 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, it was a 10-point game. And Snow Canyon went on a basically, I think it's now, I don't know when the last time Crimson scored. They might have made a free throw this quarter, but
it's been a while.
We're basically looking at like a 13-0, 14-1 run, something like that for the Warriors. So, and like you mentioned, a lot of that is from the improved rebounding. One, offensive rebounding. We're getting second chance opportunities, and we're limiting their opportunities down on their offensive end of the floor. Gines does check back into the game for the Mustangs.
Yeah, the Warriors zone tonight has done a pretty good job of forcing the Mustangs to take shots from the outside, especially here in the second half. And that's really limited their opportunities to score. They're struggling a little bit outside of the paint.
And a little bit of that is scheme, right? Like, it's something that may not work a lot against other teams. We saw this against Desert Hills, where they played a similar defense, and they were trying to force Desert Hills to shoot from the perimeter because they have such a dominant presence on the inside. Well, Desert Hills obliged and made a bunch of threes.
Right.
So it's like this is a scheme and a matchup call, and this is where coaching comes into play. Hey, we're going to pack in our zone. We don't really need to extend out to the three-point line because until they start making a lot of threes, it's not an issue for us. Good penetration from Whitehead. Yeah. She finds a good look from Mooring. I actually didn't mind the move from Mooring. I just think she needed to square up a little bit more right there. She was trying to protect the ball from
pretty drive right there.
Okay, maybe
by
I
the
am
Mustangs.
The jinx.
2 points. We won't call that a jinx, but that's a great drive right there. That's Whitley Stuckey with that penetrating drive to the basket.
It's a good finish.
First basket for the Mustangs in a few minutes there.
And she's getting an and one, so she's going to take this free throw. It's off the mark. Olsen with the rebound. She finds Whitehead. Whitehead's going to walk the ball across half court.
Yeah, and Stuckey has been the leading scorer, I think, for the Mustangs tonight. Gines may have a few more. We don't see her name up on the board just yet after she checked in, but Stuckey almost in double figures.
Coach Roden, this is a moment in the game. I mean, you're not taking anything for granted, but a 21-point game halfway through the fourth quarter, some pretty crazy things would have to happen for a comeback for the Mustangs.
Yeah.
So I know what's going through Coach Roden's mind right now is we have to work on some things for our future opponents. And here we go. We're going to run sets. Her foot was on the line, unfortunately, so a long two from Mooring. But I saw him as soon as Whitehead got the ball. He told her to slow down. He told her to come over here. We're going to run this play for Tyler. And they tried to do it. It ended up being a jump ball. And then that ends up being Warrior possession. So they run the same play for Mooring on the other side. She gets this open shot. Somehow that foul was called on
Staley, I thought.
Staley.
Is that not who they called it on?
Yeah, I thought. I didn't see, was she involved? Because I know
she
that
was,
Natalie.
She reached in
Natalie
on the
Olsen,
drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Natalie Olsen kind of hung her head thinking, because she did everything that time that Coach Roden had been asking her. She stood straight up. She didn't swipe at the ball and took contact basically right to the sternum. And when she heard that whistle blow, she hung her head. And I know that Coach Roden was like, man, if they called a foul on the time that she didn't do it, it's like that's frustrating to teach your player, like, do it this way, you won't get a foul called. But if it was on Staley, then that makes more sense. We got a double screen action, a dribble handoff to Mooring, and then Staley coming around. Great action from the Warriors right there. And everybody's where they needed to be at the right time, and it ends up with a good attack from Staley, and she's going to go to the free throw line.
Yeah, the Mustangs have switched to a man-to-man, and the Warriors now are starting to get into some of their motion offense, the flow movement. Good penetration from Staley right there, going up with the left hand, getting fouled.
She's off the mark on her first free throw, and somehow that's Ryan Gines' first foul in the game. She's typically, a physical player who plays underneath the basket.
Not that anybody's counting, but I believe for Crimson, that's only their 5th foul of the entire game.
Oh, wow. Second free throw's up and good. And Staley is playing with 4 fouls. So she's going to play with her hands back, and she's going to play with her feet. I know it's a point of emphasis for her here. We'll see if she can stay in the game. She and Ryan are smiling at each other while Ryan has the ball on the perimeter. Ryan with a 3 from the corner. It's long. Whitehead's going to get the rebound, and she's going to bring the ball across half court. And her natural desire to go 100 miles an hour is bridled by Coach Roden right there, and he's asking them to work on a set.
Yeah, the backside rebounding from the Warriors out of their zone in this second half has been really, really good. They have not given up very many second chances, like you were saying earlier, to the Mustangs.
Still a 23-point lead, under 3 minutes to go. Natalie Olson was called for a travel right there, and I know that she was frustrated with it. She kind of reenacted the move that she made. I think what actually happened is she may have dragged her pivot foot, and so she didn't take too many extra steps.
Stuckey hits their first 3 of the game. Beautiful shot. Actually, not their first. I think Gines hit one earlier in the game.
Whitehead attacks, kicks to the corner. Staley finds Olson. Has some spacing issues right here, so they're going to reset. Now they find, Whitehead finds Mooring. They're looking to enter the ball to Cundy. Cundy gets it, goes back to Whitehead. I'm almost positive their goal is to get Cundy a basket right here.
It might look like that.
Yeah, and Cundy didn't want to shoot against the double team.
Yeah, that's something she doesn't really look for. She knows that her role is to go pound and be big on the bigs in the region and try to get some rebounds and keep them off the glass. So, they don't run a lot of plays for her. She's not looking to score, just doing her role on the team.
So that just reminds me of the ball should be out of bounds. There we go. We're going to have Coach Roden is clearing his bench right now. He's going to pull his starters and put his JV team in. So the seniors are all taking a break right now. Olson's going to stay in the game.
I would have loved to see him put Cindy back in the game, but my guess is that her injury is probably still bothering her. Maybe not safe to play her, but what a class move to give her an opportunity to start in her senior night, even if she is a little bit injured.
She got a steal. She got a steal in the first possession. She's in the record books. She had a smile on her face just a second ago as Coach Roden was talking to her, so it seems like things are good right there. We were trying to get Cundy a basket right there. I was just reminded of my senior year. We had a team that we had a lot of talent, but we just didn't put it all together all the time. But we had one game where it was like the stars aligned for us, and from like the beginning of the second quarter until the middle of the third quarter, we put up like 75 points. So we had like 89 points in the game with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and we had one senior who hadn't scored yet, and it was my friend Mark. He was a 5'6" guard who his whole purpose on the team was to great block by Lainey Levitt as she sprints down the floor.
Yeah, she's a little excited about that one right there.
That was a good block. But anyway, Mark's whole purpose was to like dive on the floor and be the hustle guy. So we were entering balls to him in the post, trying to get him to score, and he's 5'6". He's shooting fadeaways over the top of like these 6'4" defenders. And we couldn't get him 2 points, and we ended the game with 89 points. And I remember our coach saying, the next time we get to 89 with 4 minutes, get to 100, and then try to get everybody some points. Anyway, it's probably my favorite basketball game that I ever played, though. It was like everything going right.
Well, that's a good sign of chemistry and just good team vibes when you're trying to do some things for, kids that play their hearts out but may not get a chance to get in the book per se with some of those, statistics that make it in the book.
So I'll just keep telling. I'm Uncle Rico over here telling stories of the glory days. My favorite experience with Mark, and maybe we should encourage this. Hey, that was a great attack by Lainey Levitt. She's at the free throw line right now. But Mark, like I said, he was like 5'6", 140 pounds. And we had a 7-foot-tall, 350-pound center. And Mark was trying to box him out one time. And that center, you know, barely moves. And Mark goes flying across the gym. Mark got pissed and tried to fight him. We had to have a full-on breakup in the middle of the fight. And we were like, hey, Mark, like when you're an adult and you know, maybe don't pick the fights with the guy that's like 5 times your size. It was hilarious, and it actually brought us together as a team. We laughed so much about it the rest of the year.
That's awesome.
There's going to be a foul called on Levitt. She kind of took the brunt of that one on an attack by Giants. They've basically traded contact like the last 3 possessions, Laney and Ryan, where they're both attacking and getting fouls going to the free throw line. Ryan's first free throw's up and in. She's on 12 points on the night.
Only Mustang in double figures tonight.
And that's her 13th.
Yeah, the Warriors have kept her pretty quiet here in the second half.
Dunkley with the ball, drops it off to Jocelyn Olsen. She picks it up, gets it back to Dunkley. They're reliving, this is basically the same experience they just had in the JV game, where they're just trying to kill the clock, basically against the same players. And Crimson, to their credit, they're going to play to the whistle. And Snow Canyon's just trying to maintain the possession. And they're going to do it. And that'll do it. Snow Canyon with the 20-point win. They end region on a 3-game win streak. Unfortunately, they're not able to move up any positions because Dixie did have 5 wins and they were the next highest team. However, if what the girls told me in class is true, that does mean that most likely they will be able to host a first-round play-in game for the state tournament.
That would be a great accomplishment for them. I know that the RPI's closed like a week and a half, so they've been closed now for a little bit of time. And we won't know until Saturday what's going to happen, but you know, with 3 games in a row, beating Dixie is an RPI booster because they were up there in the records. Beating Canyon View is going to be, this game isn't going to help them much on boosting when you're beating a team that hasn't won a game yet, but still it's a win.
But it doesn't hurt them from losing.
Correct.
To them. Yeah.
So just depending on where they're at, I can't remember where they were when the RPI closed. Were they around maybe 15 or 16?
I'm not sure. I wasn't able to check. But like we were saying, so if I'm remembering, I think there's 21 teams in the region, right?
There are 21 teams in the region.
So
and
11 get buys on that first round, and then the bottom 10 play, and so does that make sense? So there's 5 games, you're eliminating 5 teams, so then you have 16 teams for round 2.
Yes, you're eliminating 5 teams, so the bottom 10 teams.
So what I think that means is Snow Canyon will be team 12 through 16 or whatever that is. And so they're going to host one of the 17 through 21 teams. And then they would have to travel for the next game too.
Correct.
Are we doing home sites for the first 2 rounds?
Yes.
Is that how that happens?
Yes. So the girls will have their first opportunity at playoff game on Wednesday next week, and then they win that game, they'll be able to play on Saturday.
Awesome.
For the boys, they have a big one tomorrow at Crimson, and if they win that game, they're pretty much guaranteed a bye for the first round of the playoffs, which would happen on a Tuesday. And then they would be able to host a playoff game next week on Friday. So big game at Crimson Cliffs tomorrow for the high school boys.
Hey, spread the word. Everybody tune back in. I'll be bringing the game with you tomorrow. Coach Cundy will be on the sidelines tomorrow. Also, look for us in your local news outlets at some point. But anyway, that's it for tonight. And tune in